What's going on, Rebel Nation? This is the Rebellion Podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Staker. All right, UNLV men's basketball season is officially here. Okay, we have our first real game today, or tonight, versus University of Tennessee Martin. Don't know much about them, but I know it's a game that we should win, hopefully win. I'm not going to talk about that yet. Going to save that for towards the end of the episode. But mainly in this episode, I wanted to talk about kind of what my thoughts are. Having seen the team play twice, I watched both exhibition games, kind of where I'm at right now with the team, my expectations, my predictions, all that stuff. Kind of assess the different, what I've seen from the players, coaching staff, etc. But before I get into that, I want to talk about a few other things. I have some notes written down I just wanted to touch on. This is going to be a short episode. I'm not going to spend a lot of time rambling about different things. So I don't know if we have any baseball fans listening, but let me tell you, that Dodgers-Blue Jays World Series was one of the most unbelievable, exciting, entertaining, just an all-time great World Series. Two awesome teams just punching each other in the mouth back and forth. And I think that had to be arguably in the conversation for the most depressing loss ever if you're a Blue Jays fan. If you're a diehard Blue Jays fan, to see them lose in the fashion that they did against the Dodgers. I'm a Dodgers fan, by the way. I don't think I would necessarily call myself a diehard, but I have rooted for the Dodgers, most of my adult life. And I was very invested in this series, a lot more emotionally and mentally invested than I typically am when I watch baseball. This was like an all-time series, right? And I know a lot of people say baseball's boring, but let me tell you, this is what I've learned. If you're emotionally invested in a team, regardless of the sport, if there's a team that you really, really want to win, then that sport is far from boring. I used to say hockey was boring before we got the Golden Knights, and I actually learned how awesome hockey is. But this series was just unbelievably awesome and so entertaining. To think about Toronto Blue Jays, like what they went through, how close. I don't think you could be possibly closer to winning the World Series than the Blue Jays were. I don't think you could be any closer. I mean, they had it. I mean, we're literally talking about inches away. Inches when the runner was tagged out at home in the ninth inning. I mean, that is literally it's inches away from winning. And I remember seeing a comment of a Blue Jays fan saying, I live in Toronto, and I've never in my life seen a city go from so much excitement and energy and just an electrifying atmosphere in the city to just completely dead and quiet the next day. So Blue Jays fans, I feel for you. But man, wow, that was such an exciting World Series. And if you're a Dodgers fan like me, you were feeling it. You were having a lot of fun that night and the night before. So that brings me to this other bullet I want to touch on: sports losing etiquette. So what do I mean by that? Some people just don't have common sense when it comes to understanding what someone is going through, who their team that they're a big fan of just had a very disappointing loss. They don't understand, like, you gotta just not say anything, right? Or just say the bare minimum, like, dang, man, that was tough, right? So what I mean by that is, don't text your friend who's a diehard Blue Jays fan and be like, dude, that sucks about the Blue Jays. I'm sorry, man. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry about them. Like, or something like that. And when you're not a Blue Jays fan, it just annoys them. It's like you don't want to hear that. They don't want your sympathy. So I used to have a friend, and there was a group of us that were all friends. We all worked together. And one of my friends, they were both females, older women, and one of them was a diehard Green Bay Packers fan. And whenever the Packers would lose, the other female friend would always text in the group text saying, "Oh, hey, I'm sorry, Susan, I'm sorry about the Packers. I'm sorry about that they lost." Like, and I don't mean like just a regular, like a game that just wasn't a meaningless game. I mean like a playoff game or a game that had a lot of, important implications to it. And I one time I pulled her aside, and I not pulled her aside, but I just started talking to her when it was just us. And I was like, "Hey, don't text her like, hey, sorry about your team losing. after they lose. It's just not something you need to say. And it's just going to make matters worse. And she actually got mad at me and said I was mansplaining to her, like, how to talk sports, which isn't what I was doing at all. But that's just something that I see people do. Like, you're really down that your team had a bad loss, and then some idiot friend texted me like, dude, sorry about your team losing. It's just, I know, it's bad etiquette, right? Don't do that. So we are 1 month into NBA starting, and there's a lot to talk about. Though I'm going to pretty much just stick to one topic, and that is Victor Wembanyama. So if you haven't watched him by now, or maybe you've seen a couple highlights, you need to see what the hype is about. This guy is doing things that we have never seen before. I mean, my jaw dropped to the floor with some of the things he did in that season opener against the Dallas Mavericks. So, I, people, a lot of people just don't understand like what we're witnessing with him. I mean, we're talking about the greatest talent the game has ever seen, right? So a year ago, it was like, who's the best talent ever? Is it Wemby or is it LeBron? But I think now it's pretty clear that Victor Wembanyama is the best talent that the game has ever seen. So to be able to do what he can do at his size, which, by the way, I don't know why the Spurs can't just be honest about his height. I've seen him listed at 7'4". I've seen him listed at 7'3". I see it all the time when people tweeting about him, like, oh, 7'3" guy. This guy is not 7'3". He is not 7'4". He's at least 7'5" at the shortest. I think he's 7'6". I think he's Sean Bradley out there playing like Kevin Durant. Okay. And I don't need it. I don't need to see like an official measurement to know this. I can just watch the TV and see it. I can see how he like literally just towers over 7-footers, like makes them look like children. So he's 7'6", and he's out there handling the ball like a typical NBA wing player at 6'7", 6'8", 6'6". Like that's how he's handling the ball. And he has made the transition this year to actually using his size to his advantage and posting up more versus just settling for threes. We all know those guys. If you've played basketball most of your life, we all know those guys that are tall and long and athletic and could dominate if they just stayed in the paint. But all they want to do is shoot threes. They just want to be a guard so bad, right? Like, that guy. We all know that guy. It's like, dude, get your butt in the paint. You could score every time if you wanted to, right? So he worked with Akeem Olajuwon in the offseason to work on his post game, and now he's actually posting up, and he's so unstoppable because if he gets within 5 feet of that rim, he's so long that it's easy for him to just dunk it or just do a quick, easy little layup. It's kind of like when you play on those little Nerf hoops. The hoops that you put above your door, like you play with you dunk on it and break it, and your mom's yelling at you because you're making too much noise. It's kind of like that, but he does it on an actual basket. It's so absurd what this dude is doing, and I can tell who truly gets it and who doesn't by having these conversations with people. Like, oh, what about Wemby, man? You see what this guy's doing? Like, yeah, it's just kind of like Bol. I don't really see. Like, you're just like, all right, I'm done with this conversation. Hopefully, I was like hoping those Bol comparisons would finally end, but or talking like my sister-in-law. I think he has a disease. He has that like giant syndrome. Like he's talking about him like there's something wrong with him in a bad way. I'm like, no, this is an evolved form of human. Like, we have never seen anything like it. So if you haven't had a chance to watch him play, you gotta see this dude. His ability to block and alter shots down low is like, he's already arguably the greatest interior defensive player ever, as far as how much of an impact he has under the rim with altering and blocking shots. And then the stuff he's doing on offense on the other end is just even more mind-blowing. So, okay, let's get into some UNLV basketball talk. So first of all, let's recap the exhibition win against a week ago against Lincoln. Let's talk about that. I went to the game. I was one of about 18 people that went to the game. In all actuality, it might have been 1,000 people, and it's really sad. I don't want to spend too much time talking about like how pathetic the fan base is. Football too. I mean, we're coming out the best season in UNLV football history, and we're not getting that many fans at games. I've come to the realization that UNLV is just never going to be a power conference school because the lack of fan support. Like, we just can't get anyone interested in watching these teams play. Like, against Air Force, I couldn't believe how few people were at that game when we were literally undefeated. That aside, so there was barely any player or fans attending this exhibition game. And the good part about that is, I get to move really close to the court, right? There's no one there, so I can go sit at 20 feet from the sidelines. So I got to see everything up close, and that's cool. So first of all, Lincoln. Let's talk about Lincoln. We won the game by like 60 something points, which is great and all, but we have to take everything that happened with a grain of salt because Lincoln is very, very bad. Very bad. They started 3 players that were below 6 feet tall. I believe their starting lineup was 5'8", 5'9", and 6 foot. And I'm telling you, those guys were shorter than 5'8" and 5'9". I think they were probably 5'6", 5'7", or 5'5" and 5'6". They were that tiny. So they started 3 little tiny dudes. And then their power forward was 6'4", their center was 6'7", and the center was useless. He couldn't do anything. So UNLV, I mean, we should win this game by 60 points. Okay, we should win. But what I took from it wasn't so much, oh yeah, we're good because we won by 60 something. Like, no, I think any D1 would blast Lincoln by 40 plus. It was more so other little things that got me optimistic, and I'm going to talk about all those, okay? So, first of all, one thing I took away from this is the people that were at the exhibition game, again, not a lot of people were there, but the people that were there seemed to have a very optimistic and almost somewhat excited feeling about this team after leaving that game. And it's not because of the score, because anyone that's even remotely knows basketball, even if you don't know basketball, you can see how short the other team was. Anyone knows that the team we played was horrible and that we were supposed to win by that many points. So it's not that. But I'm pleasantly surprised with the amount of people that are feeling really good about this team after watching that exhibition game. Okay, and the first thing that I want to point out is Josh Pazner's energy and passion that he coaches with. How he's just running up and down. He's wearing a suit and not the lame like outfit that Kevin Kruger would wear like he was just getting ready to go to the gym. No, he's wearing a suit and he's coaching his ass off. He's coaching like we're in the Mountain West Conference Championship right now. Every opportunity he had to coach someone, he did. Pull them out of the game. You'd see him coaching them, put them right back in the game. Okay. Nobody was sulking or pouting. Granted, the game's going well, so people are more likely, to be in a good mood and everyone's playing. But there was a sort of a team camaraderie sort of feel to it. Like, I feel like Josh is really going to get the most out of this team. He's going to get the most out of these players. And I just love seeing the relentless passion and energy that Josh puts forth when he's coaching these guys. That was as exciting as anything else I saw, if not the most exciting thing I saw. When you compare to Kevin Kruger, and I don't want to turn this into a Kevin Kruger bashing session. That's not my intent whatsoever, but compared to Kevin Kruger, Kevin just had this attitude or like this way about himself and his personality that just kind of came across as like, he just doesn't give a crap. Just like, yeah, whatever. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I've said this before, Kevin seems like he would be a great dude to have like as a friend, like one of the bros, have a beer with, hang out with. But that's not like very, very laid back, but that's not what I want coaching my team that I care the most about, my team that is my favorite team of all my teams. I want someone who has just so much energy that you're kind of like, dude, what's wrong with you? And that's Josh Pazner. Josh Pazner, the way he coaches, that's what I want to be the head coach of Runnin Rebel basketball, okay? So that was the first thing. was how impressed I was with Josh. Now, let's talk about what I saw from the players. I'll kind of just go down the list and just give a few thoughts on each of them. I won't ramble for too long, but so first of all, let's talk about Dre Gibbs Lawhorn. So based on this performance, one would say, okay, he's going to be a star. He's going to be our best player. We landed a gem with him because he absolutely looked that way. He shot lights out, 5 for 8 from 3-point range when threes aren't even supposed to be his strong suit. He shot 5 for 8 from 3. He played very smart basketball. He played very hard defense, smothering defense. He finished with 31 points, 12 for 16 shooting. He only missed 4 shots, 2 for 2 from the free throw line, 7 assists, 0 turnover, 1 steal. So practically a perfect game, okay? So he could not have possibly been more impressive. And he showed the athleticism that I was talking about. He showed how explosive he is. He's going to be the Russell Westbrook of the Mountain West, okay? Maybe without the rebounding, but he definitely showed star potential. Now, I don't want to be a negative Nancy, but I do want to manage expectations a little bit, all right? Don't get your hopes up that what we saw from DGL on Tuesday is the player that we're getting this season. Don't get your hopes up. And here's why. In his first 2 seasons with Illinois, the first game of the season, he had his career high. He went off. He had, I believe it was his freshman year, he had 18 points in the season opener, which was the most he had all season. The following year, he had 21 points in the season opener, which was the most he had all season. Illinois fans thought they were getting a star. And then, I don't know what happened. He lost confidence. He ended up getting out of the rotation and sitting the bench by the end of the year. So I'm not saying that's what's going to happen with him on UNLV, especially because he's competing with less talent for playing time. Illinois had tons of talent. They're Illinois. But all I'm saying is I think this could be a guy who he plays against an inferior opponent early in the season and is very confident, has a great game. And then as the season goes on and the competition gets tougher, his minutes starts to drop, maybe he loses confidence, that sort of thing. So hopefully, crossing my fingers that we at UNLV are getting the Dre Gibbs Lawhorn that Illinois thought that they were getting. We get the Dre Gibbs Lawhorn who is confident and believes in himself. Okay? The guy that we saw against Lincoln, and he was also solid against Washington. Which, by the way, Washington won their first game by like 50 against a D1 team. So I feel a little bit better, losing to them by 15 without half our team missing. So I feel a little bit better about that. That was a side note. So yeah, Dre Gibbs Lawhorn was the best player on the floor and could not have possibly been more impressive. Hopefully that is a preview. If we can get 75% of that this season, then UNLV is going to be tough to beat. I know I talked a lot about him. I'm not going to talk that much about on the rest of the players. I just really want to talk about him because of how good he was in that game. Okay, Jacob Benarbi. So this is the only player that I was disappointed with because we really, really need him to step up and play well with the absence of Emmanuel Steven. We have no centers on this roster. None. The only one we had, Emmanuel Steven, is out for a couple months. So if we are going to beat any decent team, we need Benarbi to step up and play well. He struggled against Lincoln, a team that was tiny and had very little talent. Now, I will say that I was a post player. I was a power forward / center. I was 6'7", so I was almost the same type of player as Benarbi. And sometimes you struggle when you go against small teams. It's awkward. If you go against a short football player who has that low center of gravity, it feels really weird and it makes you uncomfortable and you don't play as well. But I don't think that was the case with Benarbi. For whatever reason, he should have been able to score every time he touched the ball. Every time he touched the ball, he should have been able to score or get fouled against that team. But he didn't. Okay? I'm not saying he was horrible and he should be embarrassed. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying he was the only player that I left that game feeling a little bit disappointed in. more so concerned than anything. Like, is he not going to be good? Is he just going to be buried at the end of the bench as soon as Emmanuel is back? I don't know. So I'm hoping he could step up and show me that he's better than what he portrayed against Lincoln. Because yeah, we're really going to need him. So Al Green was very solid. He has not shot well in both exhibition games, which I don't know if I should be concerned about that or not, because he did shoot very well at Louisiana Tech, but he has a nice smooth stroke, and I love that he can hurt you in so many other ways. He almost had a triple-double. He had 10 rebounds, 8 assists, 4 steals. Okay, so he had a really good game, and he's just solid all around, hoping that he can make shots when we need him to this season. Kamani Hamilton was awesome. He's the best player on the team. He showed that he's not only the best player, but one of the most talented players. He caught some really awesome lob dunks. His team's athletic, man. I'm going to get into that in a minute. So, yeah, I love what I saw from Kamani. He had 13 points, 5 rebounds. Howie Fleming Jr., he was all right. He didn't stand out, but he also didn't, I wasn't disappointed in him either. He didn't take a lot of shots, but he rebounded. He did the little things. He defended. And in a way, that makes me impressed, because he could have that mentality of like, I need to show out. I need to like drop 20, 30 against these guys. I need to show that I'm one of the best players on this team and just chuck up shots. But no, he did what was best for the team. And especially when you're going against an inferior opponent, that's even more of a reason that players would try and jack up shots and score a lot, right? Because of the opponent. However, when you put team first and you're running the offense and you're trying to get the best shot possible every possession, that's more important. That's what I saw from Howie Fleming Jr. Still don't know. I was very high on him before the season. I honestly think it's going to come down to him and Al Green for who gets those like either 6th, 7th man minutes or that starting position minutes. They're both going to get minutes right now with all the injuries, though. So it'll be interesting to see out of Howie Fleming Jr. and Al Green who performs better. I think it's going to come down to who shoots better, honestly. Okay, Nas Cunningham. Okay, so, man, Nas had his own episode. I talked about him a lot and how ridiculously talented he is. His potential is just through the roof. I really liked what I saw from him. He played great defense. He uses his athleticism well. Like, he knows how to, like, get to the rim and take advantage of his gifts, his natural born gifts that he has. He knows how to take advantage and use that. He plays with a high motor. He seems like when he's confident, he can really get it going. He had the second most points. He had 23 points. So I really like what I saw from him. He's one of like 3 players on this team that I'm really crossing my fingers and hoping that he reaches his potential and plays confident, because, man, what a weapon he could be. To have a 6'7" guard with a 40-inch vertical. My biggest concern with him is shooting. He's supposed to be a shooter. Like, that's what he was supposed to be coming out of high school. That's why he was ranked the number 1 high school player in the country at one point. So far, though, I'm just not really seeing it. I don't love the form on his shot. It's not ugly, but I don't love it. It doesn't. When he shoots it, I don't feel confident that it's going in. So I'm hoping I'm wrong about him, and he ends up being a 36, 37% three-point shooter or better. But if the three-point shot goes down for him, then he's going to be an absolute killer. Walter Brown, similar to Howie Fleming Jr., had a quiet game in terms of scoring, but man, he's a rebounding machine. He's so active. He plays very hard. He's going to get a lot of minutes this year just because even when he's not making shots, he just does everything else. I think he's one of those coach's dream type players because of the motor and passion and energy he plays with. He had 14 rebounds, 9 points, 4 assists, 1 steal. He had a couple blocks even. It's funny, he's a guard, but against this particular opponent, he looked like a center because of how short they were, and he took advantage of it. So he hasn't shot well in either exhibition game. Pretty much nobody except for Dre Gibbs Lawhorn in the second exhibition game. Pretty much nobody has been really impressive shooting the ball. But Walter Brown, I think if he's not a starter, he's going to get at least 20 minutes a game this season just because of everything he can do. All right. Tyron Jones, he got everybody really excited. because he's 6'9", runs like a gazelle. He's very bouncy. He tries to dunk on you. Like, some things they don't show up in a box score as far as the impact they have, but what you see right in front of you with your eyes, even if they're not scoring a lot, they're just like, you can see the talent. You can see that this guy is a good player or could be a great player. You can see it. And I'll tell you right now, Tyron Jones is going to be a beast in the open court. He's going to be a monster on a fast break. The way he runs and the athleticism, man, I really hope Josh has this team really dialed in on defense so we can create havoc and turnovers and get out and run, because that is where Tyron Jones is really going to shine. Now, I've talked about him before, about his potential and how I do believe his ceiling is the NBA. Okay, when I say your ceiling, I mean that you've reached your max potential. The best you could possibly be is what your ceiling is, right? And Tyron Jones, along with Nas Cunningham, their ceiling is the NBA. Like, if they reach their full potential, they will be drafted into the National Basketball Association. I did say with Tyron, though, like, his potential largely will depend on his ability to shoot the ball. I didn't see him shoot a single jump shot. I don't remember him shooting one. He didn't take any 3-pointers. So I'm not anticipating that he's going to be a shooter. I wish he was a shooter, because, he would hands down be the best talent in the Mountain West if he could shoot the ball. He might even be without being able to shoot the ball, to be honest. So I think he's going to make a good case to be freshman of the year in the Mountain West this year. I think if he's not a starter, he's going to get good minutes off the bench. And then, last was just Jalen Cunningham. He's a walk-on who did fairly well in his limited minutes. So, that was my thoughts on every player. Overall, I love how fast the team is playing. Even against Washington, we lost by 15. We only scored 60 points or something like that. We still were playing fast. I like the energy we played with. My biggest takeaway so far from these two exhibition games, this team is going to be fun to watch. They're going to be fun. You're going to love rooting for this team. It's not going to be boring, slow down basketball, or you just pass the ball around the 3-point line and only to settle for an ugly 15-foot jump shot. This team is going to play hard. They're going to play fast. You're going to see some really cool dunks. That was another thing, is like, I saw more awesome dunks in that exhibition game than I saw in Kevin's entire tenure. Right? We have some high flyers on this team. Between Nas Cunningham throwing down an easy windmill dunk on a fast break, Tyron Jones out there, cocking the ball back like LeBron style. Dre Gibbs Lawhorn, just at 6 foot tall, the way he explodes to the rim and dunks it is so fun to watch. And then Kamani Hamilton out there catching lobs. Man, we have some really good athleticism on this team. So we'll see. We'll see how they look tonight, and then kind of go from there. Tonight, I think, will tell us a lot, but not everything, since we're missing so many players. I wish we could get 10,000 fans at the MAC tonight to support these guys, to say thank you for coming to UNLV. We are excited about the potential of this team. We're going to show you. No, it's going to be pathetic. There's going to be like 4,000 fans tonight. It's only getting worse. We're only going to fill up those seats if we're good. And when I mean good, I mean really good. We're beating ranked teams. We're getting ranked. We're at the top of the standings in the Mountain West. That's what it's going to take to get fans back. We could start off 5-0. If we haven't beaten anyone good, we're still not going to get fans at the games. So that's the reality. Basically, after tonight's game, I want to leave this game feeling optimistic, not just for the season, but for the future. I want to be like, okay, the guys played hard. We didn't settle for a bunch of bad shots. We were elite on the fast break. We showed our athleticism. We used our athleticism to our advantage. Despite the fact that we don't have any big men, we did our best to box out and rebound and claw for every loose ball, scrap, fight, blood, sweat, tears, all that, right? That's what I want to see from this team tonight, regardless of what the score is, though I do hope to win by 15 plus. Okay, last note, and then wrap this thing up. Boise State lost at home. Season opener to Hawaii Pacific. Hawaii Pacific is a Division II school, and they're not a Division II powerhouse. They're just a regular Division II school. I know a lot about Hawaii Pacific. because they offered me a scholarship. I talked to their coach on the phone several times. They wanted me really badly, but I thought I was too cool to go to Hawaii Pacific. I thought I had to be Division One, and so I made a bad choice and went to UC Irvine. But yeah, very familiar with Hawaii Pacific, and I've always kind of rooted for them for that reason because I felt like that was a school I should have went to. So seeing them beat Boise, who I hate, in what is arguably the biggest upset in Mountain West Conference history was, oh my goodness, like next level satisfying. So, all right, Rebel fans, excited for this team, excited for the game tonight. I'll release an episode if I can to talk about my thoughts on how that first game went. And then I'll also release an episode talking about UNLV football and how disappointed I am, frankly, with them, despite the record. All right, till next time, Rebel fans.